So I'd like us to consider the distinction between the being of wealth and the doing of wealth. So the being of wealth is an invitation for us to connect to our beingness, our state of self. And the doingness of wealth, the doing, the activity, is the expression, the creativity, the manifestation of wealth. So if you see a figure of 8, this infinity symbol, so one side is this beingness, the other side is the doing. So we can go from self-realization to self-expression, and it keeps going around. Deeper the self-realization, deeper the self-expression. Yeah. So it's continuous and connected. It's not either or, it's and. We're in this dance between being and doing. Breathing in, breathing out. Inspiration into spirit, inspiring, and expiration into expression. Expression is coming out from us. Inspiration, expression. It's always in balance, it's always in harmony between the being and the doing. So just a consideration around wealth, just to remind us that wealth is both and everything in between. It's like full spectrum wealth awareness. And we might consider how the Western world is oriented towards wealth. And I can say from my own observation and experience of growing up in this culture, it's largely been about the doing of wealth, or the having, the end result of the doing. Not so much about the being as wealth. It's been about the chase, about the acquiring, about the having. It's about the result, it's about the goal. It's about what's over there in the future. Vision board, 5-year plan, 10-year plan. This is what I want over there. Always chasing a horizon. There's like these 3 different stages. There's the being, there's the doing, there's the having. See, being is stillness. The doing is the activity of expression, and the having is the result. Cause, effect. Now if we forget about, or we disconnect from the wealth being, the wealth presence, this is us as the experiencer. We are the experiencer of the doing, of the having. It's our awareness that's having that experience, of the process of creativity and the end result of eating the food, for example. We are still the present awareness who's having that experience as a being. Without the being, nobody's home to have the experience. So I want to put the spotlight on wealth presence, wealth being for a moment. Now in the East, so you have the East and the West, and you talk about the ancient East, India, like the deep meditation, the existential inquiry, the surrender into great mystery, and the unknown void, the emptiness, the not knowing. There's been a celebration of meditation, not of the world of things, not the world of having, but on the inner world, if you want to call it inner. It's that state of awareness, the invisible awareness of presence. And that has been highly valued. The pursuit of self-realization is absolutely not about the acquiring of things, materially, physical things in the 3-dimension at all. It's not even about acquiring emotional states, internal things, or thought states. It's about pure presence, beingness, becoming that godness that lives inside all of us, that life force, the love force, the intelligence. Then on the far extreme of the West, we have the measurement of wealth by the house, the work, the symbols, the status, the images, our likability, the appearances. So everything on the outside is what's considered to be wealthy. So the having of things, lots of things, and the emptiness, the absence of things, both are principles and experiences of wealth. That's why we call it full spectrum wealth. So I'm not suggesting to you it's either or, more of an and. We want to open our awareness to be all-inclusive, so it's more in balance and aligned and harmonic between the whole spectrum. Sometimes we live over here in this kind of hyper-Western greed of having more and more, and the chase and the goal and the result and the abundance of things. Wealth is an appearance, is a measurement of an appearance. And we get to this kind of obsessive state, which is always hungry. The Buddhists call this like the hungry ghost. They're always going around wanting more, never satisfied. And this is the state of an ego that feels separate from source. In the feeling of separation, there's a search for wholeness. So it's trying to find its own completion, but it's trying to find its completion through things. The belief that having more things is going to make me feel happier. Having more food, more sex, more money, more this, that. Trying to fill something up, but there's still a void, because those things don't fill the void, because the void is in the invisible. And it doesn't matter how many things you pour into the three-dimensional world, if you haven't made contact with the invisibleness of who and how you are, then you can never feel content or full or peaceful or connected. And so it generates a kind of stress syndrome, always chasing. Equally, if you get into this like detachment from the material world, you get into the state where the material world is not considered to be important at all, and you starve yourself. There's aestheticism. The body goes into all sorts of kind of rigorous states of detachment from food and sleep and all things which would be considered normal in the three-dimensional world. As you enter into interior states of like stillness, like complete stillness, non-movement. Even the breath is hardly moving. The very strange phenomena have been recorded from different yogis throughout the ages of what's possible in this very sublime, deep state of inner connection. But at a most extreme level, it's a detachment from the world of things. Now, we can observe ourselves and recognize, okay, there is a human body here, there is a world, there is an earth, there's relationship, there's family, there's people, there's work, there's trees and rivers and forests and mountains, there's creation. And simultaneously, at the same time, there's also this interior state of beingness, which is somehow transcending this. I can close my eyes and enter into that state of light. Some people call it enlightenment, when there's light awakening, which is no longer attention on things. It's attention on being light. Now, I spent a long time in meditation and a long time in the world, and have been seeking harmony between and all, an inclusive perception, an inclusive paradigm and an awareness that allows for a deep realization of being at the same time of having things and getting results, but just not being overly attached to them or driven by them or obsessed by them, but just cycling back into self-connection, self-expression, connection, expression. My beingness in my doingness. It's an in and out flow. And it feels much more organic this way and more harmonious. There's no resistance. There's no I should be more of a yogi or I should have more material wealth. There's no shoulding anywhere. There's an embrace of all of it. In some moments I'm in stillness, in the wealth of pure presence, like the blue sky. It's really content being the blue sky. And other moments I'm really like focusing like an arrow on the target, like wanting this thing, and then following the structure and the process and the action to have that thing. And then once you have the thing, releasing the attachment to it, even the desire for it, just gratitude, thank you for that process of manifestation, which could have been a piece of work or earning money to buy food or house or car or whatever is necessary. There's a sense of pride, but then you just drop it. You drop it because then you come back to that central resource of beingness, this fountain of wealth that you are. So just to recap, your being is the one who is having this experience and all experience. And without your being, there is no experience of having or getting to an end result. So there's no such thing as just the having and the end result by itself. But somehow our focus has got so caught up into measurement, doing, goals, future, should have this, shouldn't have that, should be like him, comparing, contrasting, and the whole kind of gameplay that gets involved in that chasing and the stress and anxiety that causes, because it's disconnected from your being. But when your being is awake and aware and alive and present, it shows up in the middle of the having, in the middle of the getting. It's continuous, it's all connected. So it's no longer either or, it's and. Like everything is connected. Being, the doing, and the having. Okay? Hopefully this is an interesting inquiry and invites you to consider a more full, holistic perception or paradigm of what wealth is and can be from all of these different perspectives and including them all.